Hello, I'm Johnny Rowland, your host of the Shooting Show, and welcome to today's program, friends. We're so pleased. Welcome to the spring, so you can get out and shoot your guns, go out to the range and work in the yard, have a lot of fun. Certainly, we always look forward to springtime, and I know that some of you in the northern parts of our country are still snowbound, but let me tell you what, there's a lot of us like here in Louisiana that today is about 78 degrees and just as nice as can be. Well, friends, we have an entertaining program for you today. We're going to cover some things that we periodically go back and look at that we really need to emphasize. I went over and visited with some folks the other day that I knew fairly well. They were out shooting on another range, and what I saw as far as gun safety, we had people here that were hunters, that they had a couple of kids out there with them, and we're going to be talking about some things that I just think need to be emphasized. We've got to. Might save an accident, might prevent an injury, and we're going to be doing that in just a few minutes. As we're taping this, which is Wednesday afternoon, as I'm taping this, it looks like Bill Clinton is going to launch airstrikes against Kosovo, against the Serbs, against the Serb army. And isn't it amazing how we have someone who is, it's hard for me to talk about Bill Clinton in the same reference as President of the United States. It is a major embarrassment to me, as it is to many of you. And here we have someone who avoided the draft during Vietnam, demonstrated against the draft, went to foreign countries, demonstrated against the United States' involvement in Vietnam against communism, went to great lengths, said he loathed the military. Absolutely said some horrible things about his own country. And now that this man, this child of the 60s, is President of the United States, here he is, after years of gutting the military from where it was even under George Bush, who I'm certainly no fan of George Bush, but under certainly what Ronald Reagan had built the military up into. After years of gutting the military supplies, training materials, having lost large numbers of the most qualified personnel, gone from the military now, a lot of them are. And now he wants to send United States military people all over the world. Now wait a minute. Since when did we become the world's policeman? Now, I'm being a little bit facetious because I understand what this is about. This is to give the United Nations some credibility. Now, that's what this is about. And know this, what they're talking about doing is a NATO, all right, all those people in the NATO organization are also United Nations organization members. And see, what they want to do is have a United Nations force so strong that no individual country can stand against them. You know how many votes we are in the United Nations? 1. And we have someone representing the United States in the United Nations who was not elected but appointed by this criminal we have in the White House. Now wait a minute, friends. This is where we are. And I tell you what, as we're speaking this afternoon, see, the Serbs are not like, in some ways, the Iraqis are primitive, okay? Bill Clinton sent troops to Somalia, all right? Primitive surroundings, primitive country, okay? He sent troops to Haiti. Again, not a country whose military can be taken seriously. And how many other places has this, sent troops to Bosnia? We're supposed to be out of there a year and a half ago or so ago. They're still there, no end in sight. All right, now he wants to send possibly ground forces into Kosovo. All right, now let's think about this for just a moment. Not one place have we been. Now let's go back in time to Somalia. Remember where some of our service people were brutally murdered and butchered and drugged through the streets behind cars, and that worthless Al Gore had the nerve to get up and say to those boys' parents, "You can be proud of your sons. They died in the service of the United Nations." Mr. Tree himself. That sickened me to hear that. But you know how the White House ran that operation? Going in Somalia. On an M16, you have a 30-round magazine, okay? Those initial troops that went in, as we understand it, and we can back this up through several sources, the people in the White House said, look, they won't need much ammo, it's just Somalia. Well, they didn't take into account that those people living in Somalia or take their ground real seriously. They only gave our troops that went in 1.5 magazines. All right, that's 45 rounds. 45 rounds of ammo issued. You put them into a foreign country among hostile people. Give them 45 rounds of ammo. That's a magazine and a half. On full auto, in an M16, which runs about 750 rounds a minute on full auto, you literally issued your troops only a few seconds worth of ammo. And in a firefight, in a military engagement, you're going to shoot a lot of rounds. Gave them 1.5 magazines. Because the people in the White House, who are the peaceniks from the 60s and 70s, figured, oh, that'd be enough. Because they don't know anything about fighting wars. They've never been in a conflict. They don't understand what it's about. And if someone on the general staff or someone with the military stood up and talked, say, Mr. President, this is all wrong. You're not doing this right. Hey, fire him, get him out of here. Just like that. They don't play. They don't want people with experience. They don't want people with intelligence. They just want people that'll do what they're told. You know, we have not succeeded in Haiti. That's been a disaster. We didn't succeed in Somalia. We have not succeeded any time we got involved with somebody else's civil war. And I'm sorry those people are over there killing each other. I'm sorry about that, but you know what? They've been doing it for hundreds and hundreds of years. So Bill Clinton, who can't even run his own household, liar, cheat, criminal, and you know, this may be about just taking the attention off the China fiasco with the Chinese agents stealing the secrets in our Los Alamos laboratories. You've heard the latest thing on that? They said the Chinese had total penetration of our secrets. Hey, you know what? They've advanced nuclear weapons a whole lot just in the last few years, and now the Chinese have that too. We have a communist government that is hostile to us and any other freedom-loving people on the face of the earth, and now they have our military secrets because Bill Clinton and these traitorous people that he has surrounded himself with have sold us out. Is that what Kosovo's about? Make Clinton look like, well, yeah, he's going to be a tough guy. Yeah, I'm going to go in there and show them serves. Yeah, right. Yeah. Yep, Mr. Arkansas tough guy, and this is no affront to the good people in Arkansas. I talked to several folks from Arkansas, said they was tickled to get Bill Clinton out of there. I said, look what he's done to the rest of us. But you know, friends, and the Republicans in Congress are not going to have the courage or the will to stop it. You know, I'm so disgusted with the Republican Party right now. I'm disgusted with the political parties. You know, you got the Republicans, got the Democrats, both of them working for the CFR, Council on Foreign Relations. You know, both pulling the same strings. So we're in a mess here, friends. Do you want to disarm now as a civilian? Do you want to turn your guns in? I don't think so. I don't. Some of us aren't. And I tell you what, friends, we are in dire straits here as a country. And only we getting involved can change it. It's going to be hard. See, we don't know if we can turn it around or not. None of us do. We know this. If we quit, if we lay down and just say, well, y'all go ahead. You nice people with government make all the decisions. We know what will happen. We'll become a slave state under the umbrella of the United Nations. Now, that's what will happen. But you know what? Many times in history, when people were thought not to have a chance of winning, and that's what the other side wants us to think. They want us to believe that it's all over. You know, someone called a radio show last Sunday and said it may be a gigantic deception because, you know what, we're not defeated. We as a free people, the free Americans out here, are not yet defeated. We'll only be defeated if we quit, if we give up. And that's why we're here today, friends. You know, those of us on this project, which is very few of us, are way out on a limb. But that's okay. Somebody has got to stand up on television and tell the truth and call these people what they are. We have traitorous people running our government. We do. That's no surprise to many of you, but you know what? How many people have the backbone to say that? A lot of you do. A lot of you are saying it. We're saying it here on TV because I speak for so many of you. That's why we're here, to tell the truth, because you know what? If we spread it around, truth has a very sharp, sharp edge. If we spread the truth around, some of us are going to grow. And we're going to try, as long as we have breath, we're going to try and tell and spread the truth. And that's why we're here today. And that's why we ask for your help, because there aren't enough sponsors at this time with the courage and the resolve who care to help keep our program on. But you know what? The viewers have. You folks have taken up the slack so far. We made it again this week. I mean, it's just week to week. And we thank all of you who have. Please, if you've never contributed to our project, if we had 1,000 people that would contribute $5 a month, that'd be $5,000 a month. That would go a long way toward offsetting our expenses staying on the air. If we had 1,000 people, we have tens, even hundreds of thousands of people that watch our program, but almost none. People like to watch our show, but almost nobody contributes, just a very few. But enough of those very few, that's how we're here today. Think about it, friends. You know, if we had the money, if we had 1,000 people contribute $10,000 or $10 a piece, be $10,000 a month, my goodness, we could get on so much more TV time, might even get on the little digital dish. We could probably do that. We could help. You know, we're talking with our friend Ed Hubble, trying to get some shows together to buy a block of TV time so we can get our costs down. You know, if we just have enough people who care, they're out there. We just have to reach them. If you want to join our GRA, if you can help contribute to keeping our program on the air, please, friends. Our address, we're the Shooting Show, 327 Irvin Rowland Road in Doverly, Louisiana. The zip code is 71024. Our phone number, 318-377-5189. I'll tell you what, please, if you will, please help us promote our kits for the great 1911. Certainly we're selling full-size guns, we're selling kits. For most of you, the kit is the way to go because many of you already have 1911 type guns. And it essentially makes your 1911 into a 44 Magnum powered handgun that is much easier to control, doesn't have nearly as much recoil, just such a neat package. And our 460 Rowland cartridge is, we're hearing back from people that have gotten the first kits, and it's just great. That's all I can tell you. People are so excited because they have guns that we've never been able to do the sorts of things with. And of course, I told somebody, in fact, earlier today in a conversation, we had an unfortunate incident with a local policeman. He was attacked by an old boy that had a knife. And you know, a knife is a very serious instrument in almost anybody's hands. But this was a young man. He was healthy, and I don't know, something happened to him. He lost his mind. He was on drugs. Something, I don't know what happened. But he went after the policeman. Well, the policeman had a 40 caliber Glock, and he had to. I think he fired 9 times, and I think he hit the perpetrator there 6 or 7 times. It was at least 6. I think it may have been 7 times before we could get him to quit, and they were pretty much point blank. So those of you that have a lot of faith in the 40 S&W as being a great stopping caliber, you know, a 38's good if you can hit them right. A 40's good if you can hit them right. Does not have much shocking power. None of them do. And that's another reason for our great 460, because in our defense load you have low recoil. And several people said to me after seeing it, boy, John, if it just had a 460, the policeman could have probably settled it 1 or 2 shots. And that's probably true. Of course, there will be people that can take multiple hits, but when you hit them with the kinds of energies that we have available in these guns, think about it. If someone's breaking into your home at 3 o'clock in the morning, or for some of these women out here, if you're being attacked by a rapist, you want to hit them once, make them think about something else entirely different. You want to stop someone. We don't talk about killing someone. That's not an issue with us. We want to stop them from what they're doing, from hurting you or a loved one. Or in the case of this police officer, keep him from getting cut all to pieces. So thankfully the man quit before he did get hold of the policeman, but that's a lot of shots for to stop somebody. Many times you'll only get one or two. Okay, we have a great show for you, and this is one of our conversions. This 625 from Smith & Wesson. One of our viewers got this gun, and in fact, I talked to him. He said he didn't even shoot it, sent it straight to us. We converted it to 460. We're going to show you some things about this gun on the new Smith & Wessons that are different now. I think that Smith & Wesson is really on the ball. And let's start another shooting show, friends. Hey, we're so glad to be here, and we appreciate everyone who has helped, because this is for all of us who as gun owners and free Americans want to continue as gun owners and to become more free Americans. We want to get some of our freedom back that we've lost. We want to certainly keep what we got, but we want some of it back too. We would like to have it all back under the Constitution of the United States. That's why we're here. Well, let's get another shooting show started. You know, we've got some 230 grain bullets, and yes, Georgia Arms is shipping ammo. They do not have the 230 grain load yet. Right now they've got the 185 grain loads, and as I understand it, they're shipping it daily. But this is the 230, and we hope that this will be loaded soon. We certainly will furnish you loading information so you can load your own, but I'll tell you, this would be a great hunting round. This is the Hornet XTP, running 1,340 feet per second out of this great kimber here. So let's see what it does. Let's use some bowling pins. Let's do that. Now, friends, I'll tell you what, you know, those of you who shoot bowling pins know that they're pretty difficult targets. Now, certainly that 230 grain bullet just kind of takes it away. But then let's do our other exercise, and if you want to save time, you can just get them all at once. Of course, I would recommend our 460 to do the bowling thing there.
Stay tuned for more of the shooting show after these important messages.
The shooting show will be right back after this break for your local cable company or TV station.
Friends, here it is. This is the great Georgia Arms 45 DA Colt or double action Colt cartridge. This is the first major improvement on the Colt 45 since 1873. They have this in loaded cowboy ammunition. They're also selling brass, so you can load your own combinations. This cartridge case is absolutely a joy to work with. We're even seeing improved accuracy, we think due to the slightly larger rim on our 45 DA Colt case. You can get a free catalog, or you can order these from Georgia Arms, 1-800-624-6861 for their entire lineup, and please tell them you saw it here on our show. Now friends, of course, the cowboy load is mild but super accurate. And of course, you can take your hand loads up to the limit of what the loading manuals will allow. The great 45 double-action Colt cartridge from Georgia Arms. Give them a call today, friends. A free phone call with a free catalog.
And I think it goes without saying, but I want to say it anyway, that Georgia Arms has the best lineup of handgun and rifle ammunition available here in the United States. And yes, they are shipping our 460 Rowland loaded ammo. They are shipping. Right now it looks like they're going to expand to 2 loads. In fact, one is going to be a more economical field or defender load with a 185 grain bullet running about 1400 to 1450, and then they're going to have the premium load loaded with Nosler bullets at 1550, which is our hot rod. They're going to be offering both of these in even as we speak, as I understand it. The lesser powered load is going to be a little more economical. If you want to just go out to the range and blast away and you don't hand load, well, it'll be more economical for that, and certainly a good defense load. And of course, those who are really serious about hunting or really want the most velocity, you can also get the 1,550 feet per second load with the great Nosler bullet. Be a little more expensive, but bear in mind, all Georgia Arms ammo is very, very reasonably priced. Give them a call today, 1-800-624-6861, and please don't forget to tell them you heard it here on our show.
Well, friends, periodically we go over some safety tips, and like I said, it really hit me hard this past weekend when I visited with some folks, and like I said, they're hunters, they're people that use guns, but you know, they were out on the range, they had a couple of little kids out there and themselves. Nobody was wearing shooting glasses, very inexpensive investment, and they just had some little earplugs. A couple of them, they were shooting the 22, weren't even using earplugs. Tell you what, friends, earmuffs are very inexpensive. You can find them at the discount houses, Walmart, the sporting goods stores. They're very inexpensive. And let me tell you, once you lose your hearing, and when we're shooting things like handguns, even a 22, see if we've got our 22 here. We've got more so in the handgun than in the rifle. A 22 makes more noise. I've got a new box of ammo here. We'll get it out in a second. Here we go. Just our garden variety 22. Now, with the limiter, of course, on the camera equipment and also on the broadcast equipment, you won't get the full force of the noise, but listen at this. And I've got my hearing protection in, of course. Now that may not seem that terribly loud, but you know what? You have a short barrel, and even shooting a 22, even with shorts, over a period of time, if you don't have hearing protection, it will damage your hearing. And it doesn't happen all at once. You notice you're sometimes shooting a Magnum handgun like a 357, you'll notice you'll get a ringing in the ears. Now then, if you're on a deer stand or in self-defense, heck, many times the gun won't make enough noise, but your body does some things with the adrenal glands that makes your hearing a little different. But and how many hunting shots are you going to fire? If I was out varmint hunting, where I would shoot hundreds of rounds, there's no question I'd wear hearing protection, because after a while it will build up and you'll go partially deaf. And some of the old-time shooters, you know, it used to be thought that back in the 50s and 60s and before, if you let a little pain in your ears, that wasn't really manly. Well, what it was deafly. Some of the old-time shooters, you could always identify your old-time shooters in a crowd, because if two of them are talking, they're yelling at each other because they can't hear. A very simple thing. I have some little gel earplugs from North Industries, and these things are so good that heck, you can't hear it thunder. Many times we'll have an airplane or something flying over while we're taping, and I won't even hear it. not even knows anything else around because these things are so good, and they're just a couple of dollars. They're not expensive. If you have enough money to buy a gun and ammo, there's no excuse for not buying eye protection, earmuffs, or a good set of earplugs. There's just no excuse because, you know, once your hearing's gone, you can't get it back. And that's a terrible thing. I see people out doing it, shooting without hearing protection, and I say, oh, you know, my hearing will come back. No, it won't. Some of it will, yes, but if your ears are ringing, and for those of you who've experienced tinnitus, which is a constant ringing in the ears, it is not a pleasant thing at all. Now then, something else about shooting glasses, and I know, heck, as kids we used to go off with the BB gun. Let me tell you what, BBs are, some of them made of steel. Pellets may be lead, but they can bounce back. Let me show you something. Get my earplug back in. We've got some light target loads here for the 357. And let's see if you can see this. Let's shoot that shot stop, the one in the middle there. And I won't even come down to the range without hearing protection. I won't do any testing, I mean, without eye protection, hearing protection either. But without eye protection, I won't shoot a gun. Now, in a defensive situation, you don't have time to worry about eye or ear protection. You're trying to save your life. But those times are going to be very few and far between for most of us, hopefully. So when we're out learning with the gun, there's just no excuse not to have eye protection. Watch the shot stop there. We'll shoot it with this. This is a 38 special power load here. And I'm doing this so you can probably, hopefully you'll be able to see the bullets as they come off that steel target. All right, I don't know if you can see it or not, but that lead bullet is going somewhere. Now, friends, on those steel targets, as we said, those lead bullets are going to go somewhere, just like taking the 22 even. And a lot of us don't take a 22 bullet nearly as seriously as maybe we should. I saw that one come back this way. Didn't come quite to me. See the last bullet? Well, you probably couldn't with as far as the camera is back. But my point is this. Listen, I've been standing here, and we're about 10 or 12 yards as from where I'm standing back to that shot stop. And on some higher powered loads, 357 type loads, I have had bullets come back and hit me, or pieces of bullet, back in the leg. Had to dig one out of the skin on my chest one time. Now, it certainly was a little bit painful, yet stung, and it's very unlikely for it to happen, but occasionally you will get a little backsplash. There are bullet fragments all out here from me shooting back at 25 yards. Occasionally they'll come back, all right? If it just stings you on the arm, or on the leg, or maybe even on the face, it's not going to be that big a deal. May sting, may bleed a little bit like a mosquito bite, but let me tell you what, if it gets in your eye, you may be blind in that eye for the rest of your life, or may have to have an eye transplant, or who knows whatever else, and look at all the pain and misery and expense you're going to. So there is just no excuse. These shooting glasses, I found these particular ones recently. I was over at the John Deere Tractor Company, and they had these glasses on, which are their safety glasses. They were $3.75. I said, that's a good deal. You know, you'll find them. Of course, you can spend a lot of money if you want to, but there's just no excuse not to go out with proper safety precautions. Just no excuse, because when you're shooting on, you can shoot BBs on wood or something that come back and hit you. And friends, this is a sort of basic thing. And I was so rudely reminded of that this past weekend when there were some people I knew. Obviously, they were hunters, they had guns, they were around guns, but they were not observing the basic safety rules. Let me tell you what, first thing you do before you hand someone else a gun, take it, unload it, first thing you do, and you know my drill, I check them 3 times. Whether it be a revolver or the semi-automatic, I will check them 3 times and be sure that it's empty before I hand it to someone else. In fact, I like to hand it to someone with the action open. That's the best way for them to look at. And I'll tell you what, when you have a stranger around and they look at your gun and hand it back to you, don't load it until you reholster. Don't load it and set it down, because I've known of people who handed a gun to someone, unloaded it, handed it to them, and then the individual gave it back to them after looking at it, and then it was reloaded and set down on a table. Well, in conversation, the individual who had looked at it, who wasn't familiar with guns, assumed it was still empty, didn't remember you reloading it. Picks the gun up, and unfortunately, not just non-shooters, but some shooters will take a gun and they will go ahead and pull the trigger. Well, let's hope and pray that it's not pointed at you or someone you love or some expensive piece of stereo equipment or TV or whatever. So that is a tip that I think is important. If you're showing someone else a gun, and they're not familiar whether they are or not, you unload it, and unless you want to put it back in your holster where you have total control of it, where they're not going to reach for it, if you're going to set the gun down, don't reload it. Just wait until they leave, or wait till you do something else with the gun. But don't leave it laying there, load it. You know, simple thing. Something else. I was over at a friend's house some time ago, and this individual, again, is not very safety conscious. A lot of people aren't. Friends, we got to work on this. We have to work on this. One, we never point a gun, loaded, unloaded, otherwise, at something we can't afford to destroy. Something that if that thing somehow went off, that it wouldn't hurt anything. Okay, I was over at this individual's home, and we were looking through several guns he had, and he had a loaded revolver. And he has a terrible habit. When he picks up a gun, he puts his finger on the trigger. You know, terrible habit. One that all of us should constantly work against. If he picks up a gun, his finger just automatically goes to the trigger. Hey, we don't touch the trigger unless we're ready to shoot the gun. There's no need, unless we're dry firing, we're testing the trigger. Unless we're ready to shoot the gun, we don't touch it. There's no point in it, you know. And let's just suppose that you have your finger on the trigger of a loaded revolver, and maybe you stumble. Oops. If anything causes you to grip, maybe maybe one of your kids walks up behind you and gooses you. You know, we don't know what children will do. That's why we have to teach them about guns. But there are some mischievous people. Maybe you have somebody is over at the house for a barbecue or something and thinks it'll be funny to come up behind you and scare you. Whoa! Well, maybe the gun is pointed at something that you can't afford to lose. We have to work on this. And in fact, the other day, my friend was looking at a gun. I said, "Hey, let me see that gun." And it was loaded, and his finger was on the trigger. And I said, "Hey, please let me see the gun. Give me the gun." I took the gun and I unloaded it, and I handed it back to him. You know, friends, these are things that could save lives. And see, the anti-gun people love to use stuff like this against us as gun owners and shooters. They love to do it.
Stay tuned for more of the Shootin' Show after these important messages.
The Shootin' Show will be right back after this break for your local cable company or TV station.
And we want to mention the good folks at Clark Custom Guns in Princeton, Louisiana, one of the most complete gun shops in the entire United States. They do all sorts of things like this specialty meltdown on this new STI gun. Also, they have an excellent staff of people to help you with guns such as these Benelli Super Black Eagles taking 3.5-inch magnums, a complete line of handguns, semi-automatics, revolvers, all sorts of neat things in the shop there. And of course, here's Mr. Jim Clark himself out helping a customer, some of the nicest people you'd ever want to meet. They have a complete line of loading supplies, loading tools, gunpowder, you name it, primers, all sorts of accessories for your guns, whatever you might need, certainly within reason. Here's Kay Clark Michalik when she's not winning championships, back working there in the office. And here's her husband, Jerry Michalik, the fastest revolver shooter in the world, when he's not winning championships at work. Here's Jim Clark Jr. back on the lathe, the same drill, when he's not winning championships, working right there in the shop. That's why you can get such complete quality of product and expertise here at Clark Custom Guns. Friends, give them a call today, area 318-949-9884. They have a great catalog. We appreciate them supporting our project.
Now, friends, some of you may have seen old guns like this. This was my grandmother's old gun, actually, U.S. revolvers. I think it was made by the H&R company back, or Ivor Johnson. This gun dates back to just after 1900. And let me show you something. When this gun, see that firing pin right there? Of course, it's not loaded, obviously, but we've checked it. But I'm going to show you. You see that firing pin protruding? There is no real safety. You've got a little bitty a hammer safety here. It's a little detent, like on the single action Colts, just a little bit. But let me tell you what, if you bang that hammer, if you drop it, that little detent on that hammer is probably going to break, and guess what? That firing pin is going to go right into that bullet. So let me tell you what, friends, if you have old top break guns like this that date from back when, why don't you just put them in your collection case there and don't even load them. This particular gun here, notice how it works. If the the way some of these old things were years ago, I'm not sure if it was meant to function like this, but a lot of them did. The way you kept the cylinder from rotating was you actually put the hammer down between the rims of two cartridge cases in the cylinder. Very, very dangerous, very dangerous. Relegate these old guns to a position of honor in your collection, but don't carry one for self-defense. My goodness, don't even keep these things loaded, because even though this is still a functional gun, the average person today is not familiar with how they used to handle and shoot. So again, just relegate it to a position of a collectible or of an heirloom, something like that. But I would not handle it. I would not keep it loaded. I certainly would not carry it and have to depend on it. You know, friends, those old guns are certainly they're certainly nice to look at, certainly nice to see how they work, but there are newer and more modern things that we absolutely are so much better off with. Something else. A lot of shotguns do not have, and for that matter some rifles, do not have a spring-loaded firing pins. Don't depend on the safety. There's no way I would keep this double-barrel gun like this hammerless gun. There's no way that I would keep it loaded. I mean, absolutely no way that I would keep it in my home. That's why you're told when you cross a fence or something, always unload your gun. There's a reason for it, because even if your safety's on one of these guns, whether it might be a pump, might be an automatic, might be something else, but it may not have a spring-loaded firing pin. And if it fell out of your hands or bumped or fell, it might go. If it hits something, even though the safety's on. And you don't want that to be a part of your body or someone in your family. There's just no sense taking chances with it. There's no need. You might keep it broken. If you keep it for self-defense, you might keep it broken and shells right there handy. You might keep shells on a carrier on the stock or something, but you cannot depend on a safety, because the safety may not lock the firing pin. All right? Same drill. If that thing gets bumped, what happens is, we know this gun's unloaded. I don't even put my hand around the muzzle on a shotgun. For that matter, muzzle any gun very much. But anyway, what will happen is, if you bang the gun, I've told this story before, but I know it needs retelling. There was a police officer that had his riot shotgun. He had it out at the scene of some kind of problem, and he had the chamber loaded. All right. He slid the shotgun. He's getting back in his vehicle. Slid the shotgun across the seat on his car. All right. The gun stopped, but the firing pin kept going, and boom! It blew a hole in the door on his car. Thankfully, no one was injured. But we have to think about these things. That's why we're here on the air, is to educate people. And as I said before on last week's program, I've said on the radio show a time or two, the people who call me or watch this show are pretty darn well educated, because one, we've been doing this program together for in some cases for years. But just the folks that read only the magazines, you know, it's like reading a cookbook and thinking you know how to cook. And unfortunately, so many people who are gun enthusiasts, who like guns, read the magazines and they feel like because they've read the articles in the magazines, that they're experts. And it's just like somebody reading a cookbook, getting down the proper formula, but they've never handled pots and pans, they've never mixed the food, they've never put in the seasoning, they've never put it on the stove, they've never lit the stove. So see, they really don't know how to cook. Now, they know something about it, but no, they're not experts, and they don't really know how. And that's the huge advantage our TV show has, because many of you can't get out to the range every week. This is my job, to come down here and to give a little instruction here. And we can show you things. All right, this is how it works. And these are very important things. Let's move on to something else. Here we have the Ruger semi-automatic pistol. And okay, let's check and see if it's loaded. Okay, nope, we're not one in the chamber. All right, now we'll take the magazine out. Okay, is it loaded or not? We got the magazine out. See, we've got them in the magazine. Let's go ahead and push the safety off. Is it loaded or not? Yes, it was. What did we do wrong? What did we do wrong? The first thing, what we did, let's put the magazine back in it. All right, we pulled the slide back. We looked in the chamber. See, there's nothing in the chamber, and we see there's one in the magazine, but what did we do? We let it go like so, and then we took the magazine out. And guess what? Yes, it is loaded again. All right, proper procedure. First of all, semi-automatic pistol. Take the magazine out first, then check the chamber to see if one's loaded in it. Then check the chamber. Now then, what'll happen here? Same drill, all right? You see a gun here, we pick it up. We don't know the condition it's in. First thing we do, take the magazine out. Okay, all right, it's unloaded now. No, it's not unloaded. No, the magazine out first. Magazine 1, 2, check the chamber. Check it again. Check it one more time, 3 times. Nothing in that chamber. All right, now the gun's safe to handle. We have the magazine apart from it. Now, friends, most of you who watch this program are pretty darn safety conscious. But you know, in fact, if you're copying this show, you can make copies and give it away to other people. There are a lot of fatherless children. A lot of us live in urban areas now. A lot of your children's friends may not be familiar with guns when they come over to your home. You know, one of the better programs the NRA's ever had was the Eddie Eagle program, and a lot of the school systems won't let the NRA put the Eddie Eagle program, which teaches children how to not pick up guns. When you go to somebody's house, don't touch the gun. If an adult's not present, don't pick it up. Leave the area, leave the room. If someone else handles the gun, get out of there. Get out of there. Another child that doesn't know about guns or doesn't have permission to handle it, get out of the room, get away quickly. Go tell an adult quickly. So that's a good program they've had that, unfortunately, a lot of the school systems will flatly not let the Eddie Eagle program be taught. But we've got to teach these children, excuse me, heck, we've got to teach adults who don't know about guns, and we know that this particular gun is empty here. And you know, I've been in gun shops where someone picked up a gun, we're going to take the cylinder out, and they'll pick up a gun and they'll just wave it, hey, look at this, look at this, you see this here, look at, you know, ludicrous. At that point, when you see someone doing that, if you know them, say, look, whoa, put the gun, no, don't point the gun. Don't point the gun at all, under any circumstance. Typically, the people that will wave one around are not shooters. They've been watching television, unfortunately, watching some of these goofy cop shows and these other goofy movies and things where you have horrible gun handling, and they figure, hey, the safety's on, or I'm not going to put whatever. No, that's not good enough. And they have to be told. That's why it's important we remain on TV, because we got to show people. If you can make a copy of this program and give it to somebody to help them in instruction. My goodness, all these fatherless kids out there, teenagers who don't have a clue, little kids that don't have a clue, but they can be taught. You know, right now there's such a move on to remove lead paint from everything. Well, can't you teach children not to eat paint? I mean, we teach them to add and subtract. You know, we teach them not to put their finger in the wall socket. We teach them that. We teach them not to touch a hot stove or turn on the electric saw. Why can't we teach them gun safety? We can teach them gun safety, but we've got to do it. We have to do it. You know, the liberal socialists who would disarm us, they really don't care about the lives of a few children. Hey, they don't care. It's okay, because that will help their cause at disarming the rest of us. But we need to take that one away from them. We can do that. We can take that card away from their deck. We can teach gun safety. We certainly can. One other thing, if you're ever shooting your revolver or other gun and you've got a full magazine or full cylinder and you shoot 2 or 3 times and you get a click instead of a bang, don't, unless it is an emergency with your revolver, don't continue shooting. Stop shooting if you got a click. Maybe you had a bad primer, you may have a hang fire. And if you get a click there, give the gun a moment, keep the muzzle downrange, because on a hang fire they're very rare, but sometimes they'll go off, sometimes. So we just wait a minute. We wait seconds and keep the gun pointed downrange and just see what happens to be sure it's not a hang fire. Don't just immediately just unload the gun like so. No, just give it a minute and be sure that that round's not going to go off. They're very rare. Something else that happened to me a few years ago, we had some factory rounds, not from Georgia Arms, from another company, but I was shooting some factory rounds and I had an odd sound from that particular round. Instead of a boom, I got like a tink, or just a little, like a little pop. So rather than continue shooting, I waited a few minutes to be sure there was nothing else going to happen. And then I took the cylinder out of the revolver, unloaded it, looked at my cases, and then with the cylinder out, then I looked at both ends of the barrel, and guess what? This factory had shipped a round without any gunpowder in it, and the primer had enough force to drive the bullet up into the barrel. So if I had shot one behind it, well, it may or may not have damaged the gun. It probably would have damaged the gun. It might have been bad, it might not have been, but it was certainly would have created some problems. So if you're a police officer or if you're a serious homeowner about protecting your home, it behooves you to have more than one gun, because remember that backup gun, they're just machines. They can't think for themselves. They're just machines, and occasionally, be it semi-automatic or revolver, they will have a breakdown. They will have a jam sometimes. They're just machines made by imperfect people. Now, some of them, I guarantee you, are pretty darn good, but there's always a possibility of that happening. You don't need one gun, you need two, because something may happen to your primary gun. So just some thoughts here, friends. This safety information has got to be taught. We have to. And I get reminded occasionally, just like I was telling you about earlier, and we've got to spend some more time on it. And you need to help other non-shooters or other new shooters or even shooters, even at the risk of hurting their feelings. You can say, call them off to the side and say, hey man, hey, you know, you need to watch your gun handling. That's dangerous. That could be dangerous. Said, really, I mean, seriously now. even at the risk of hurting somebody's feelings, because wouldn't you rather have their feelings hurt than have a loved one or yourself or themselves hurt?
Stay tuned for more of the Shootin' Show after these important messages.
The Shootin' Show will be right back after this break for your local cable company or TV station.
Friends, we hope you've enjoyed our program today, because you know what, these safety features like we had on today's program, they've got to be done. Many times we'll have friends, we'll have people that we know that have guns, and we'll assume they're safety conscious, but many times they're not. And my goodness, we need to prevent accidents, because the anti-gun people like to use this kind of stuff against us. Let me remind you, we have our kits, our 460 Rowland kits for the 1911 pistols. We'll certainly sell you one of these great new Kimbers, but certainly we'll sell you a kit for your gun, Springfield, Colt, whatever you've got, that is suitable for our great cartridge. It's only $275 plus $5 shipping. So please, friends, help us promote our cartridge. Please help us promote our kits, because sales on these things are what's going to put us in a situation where we can stay on the air and hopefully continue. We're here again this week, but it is barely by the skin of our teeth. So please, please help us if you can. You know our shooting show address, 327 Irvin Rowland Road in Duberly, Louisiana. The zip code is 71024. Anything you can contribute, or if you can join our GRA, please do. Want to recognize our support group. We have Steadcraft, a custom machine shop in Torrington, Connecticut. Their number is area 860-496-7001. We have our friend Dennis Crocker, firearms trainer in South Carolina. Dennis's number is area 864-587-8722. We have custom leatherwork and saddlery in Denham Springs, Louisiana. Their number is area 225-667-9225. We have Camouflage Technology, the folks that paint gun stocks. Their number is area 909-674-6488. We have Flying Horse Galleries, artwork on the web. Their address is www.flyinghorse.net. We have Little River Trading Company. They're in Cadiz, Kentucky, with Civil War memorabilia. Their number is area 502-522-6167. We have Bruce Warren with BC Armory, works on pistols and revolvers in East Leroy, Michigan. His number is area 616-729-5508. Friends, remember our radio show on the American Freedom Network on SpaceNet 4, Channel 19, 5.82 audio from noon to 2 o'clock on Sundays, Eastern Time. And remember our gospel show on Sunday morning on G6 Channel 7 from 10 to 10:30 Eastern Time. Please remember our Fun Gun Weekend coming up. We're planning on the first weekend in June this year. So please, if you can join us, look ahead and try and do that. We've had so many requests for us to play our song and video. We're going to do that. We're going to end the show with that today. Thank you for being with us. Please help us if you can, and we'll look forward to seeing you on the next program.
Okay, I'll try.
Step on the studio. Take 44.
You ready?
Johnny, get it right this time.
I'll certainly try. I'm going to try, absolutely.
Okay.
All right, let's try and do it.
Once upon a time, men were free, could follow their dreams in liberty. But now there's a darkness that hides what we used to see, and we ask ourselves,
Just what do we truly believe? Oh, America, where have you gone? Oh, America, what have you become? Once we had a voice free to sing. Once we could say, let freedom ring. But now greed and power grip us all. And the liars and the cheaters have set us up for a ball. Oh, America, where have you gone? Oh, America, what have you become? In faith we celebrated all things good. And if we were free, most still would. But the tyrant's hot breath chills us all. For God and country, won't you please hear our